I think the biggest thing that Tennessee fans coming out of this game is the concern of, okay, is this 2016 all over again? Are there these major issues in the locker room that led to this loss? And I think that's where people are today. And part of that's because there's so little information out there about what went wrong off the field and then an explanation for what went wrong on the field. Ultimately, I think it's a combination of all that stuff. I think, like I said last week, going into Columbia at night, it's always a weird game. Tennessee's only won there twice since 2006. In 2014, took a miracle of their own to win that game down 14 with like 2 minutes to go to get into overtime. And then 2020, a COVID year, it was a day game, 19,000 fans at Williams-Brice. It wasn't the same experience. So it's always been a tough place for Tennessee to play. So I think that's one factor. I think not having Jeremy Banks there, it's kind of like when you didn't have Daniel Batuli in 2019 for the Georgia State game, or a couple of times during the Butch Jones era when Darren Kirkland was out and they didn't have that guy kind of running the defense. It's more important. You should be able to overcome that. That's no excuse to give up 63 points. It's no excuse to lose to South Carolina, even on the road. But it was a factor. I mean, Jeremy Banks is the guy that's kind of getting guys lined up. He's an energetic guy. And we spent a lot of the year praising him for playing more controlled. So to find out that some of this stuff was going on off the field where he's kind of been having some issues throughout the season, unspecified, it was a bit surprising. And it sounds like it was just a cumulative effect that all this stuff has happened and it's just added up, not major stuff, but it keeps adding up. And the coaching staff felt like they had to do something and tell him not to play. Yeah, and to build your culture, that's something you have to do sometimes, even if it's a tough decision to make, and it might cost you a game. But you got to think about what it does long term. What are you willing to let slide? Because I think that's what happened during the Butch Jones era. Is it started off pretty good, and then stuff started sliding. Kids weren't working out. They weren't going to class the way they were supposed to be. There wasn't accountability, and it just snowballs from there. And once that happens, you can't rein it back in until a new staff comes in. Like, you cannot put the genie back in the bottle. And I think that's what Heupel and them were trying to prevent. I mean, that's my speculation as far as their mindset with any decision that was made. But and I get that. I think that happens at a lot of places, and a lot of times you don't even hear about it. And like we were talking about before we came on the show, anybody that's not even just played on a team, that's had a group of friends that's really close knit. Like, you have disagreements, you have things that happen. If Jeremy Banks and Hendon Hooker got into it, which Josh Heupel would not comment on today, he was directly asked if Jeremy Banks got into it with a teammate, and he just kind of dodged the question, which was probably the right thing to do. He didn't lie about it, but he also didn't put a lot of information out there either, protecting his players. But that stuff happens, right? I mean, I'm sure you've had incidents like that.
I actually love the way that Josh Heupel handled that question today. I don't know about the handling of everything internally because we don't really know exactly what happened. We're all just kind of piecing together. Whoa. Oh.
You got so excited you about knocked it all off there.
Did I come undone?
Nah, I still hear you. You're there.
Oh, so you can see me right now.
Yeah.
Where? I can't find. This is ridiculous.
Well, as you figure that out, and we're
there.
Talking
It is.
about
I got it. Well, my computer fell down off of the stand.
You talking about the way that you like the way Josh Heupel handled this?
Yes. Okay.
So recruits. Before you go into that, recruits like that too, and I know that's what people probably think about. And Nico, follows me on Twitter, and I was looking. He's liked several replies to tweets from the tweet that showed Josh Heupel's response. People have talked about glad he didn't pull a Butch Jones and say he fell on a helmet. Glad that he kept it in the locker room. And Nico's going through liking all those tweets. So if you're complaining about the way Heupel's handled it, look, your 5-star quarterback that's coming in here liked the way he handled it.
I think Heupel handled it well because, what he could have gone and done was fell on a helmet. He could have had when Shai Tuttle, whatever happened there, happened. He got a black eye, and Butch Jones, he fell on a helmet. And that's the truth. And we all knew that wasn't the truth. It's ridiculous. And Heupel just goes and he really does just say nothing. I mean, he I forget exactly what it was, but he said,
he just wasn't available. Yeah,
he wasn't available. That's what he said. Cool.
I'm good with that.
I don't need to know. But to piece it together. Fall is in the air, and that means fall grilling with cookouts, tailgate parties, and so much more. Luckily, the flavor experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to savor all the flavors of fall with their mouthwatering assortments of perfectly aged steaks, ultra juicy burgers, and easy to prepare comfort meals that are ready in a flash. And now is the perfect time to load up on all this incredible flavor and take advantage of 50% off site wide by shopping their friends and family sale. Go to omahasteaks.com and use my promo code Vols, that is VOLS, at checkout and get $30 off your order. And guys, I've said it in these ads for weeks now. I've had all of the stuff from Omaha Steaks. I can't endorse it enough. Everything has been high quality. It comes right to your door, so easy and convenient. And I mean, most importantly, tasty. So I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. So don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com and stock up today. Omaha Steaks isn't just steak, it's the best steak of your life, guaranteed. And don't forget to score that extra $30 off your order when you use Vols at checkout, VOLS. Omaha Steaks is perfect for those chilly and busy fall nights. You won't come close to getting this kind of quality at the grocery store. Visit omahasteaks.com. Promo code Vols at checkout. Minimum order may be required. Omaha Steaks. This is all complete hearsay. This comes from reports from reporters, reports from message boards, reports from. Honestly, I think a bunch
Got
of
a
people.
friend that knows somebody on the team,
Exactly.
and a lot of just nonsense too. Yeah.
The versions range from there was a fist fight between Jeremy Banks and Hendon Hooker, and Joe Milton stepped in and separated them, all the way to there was just some yelling and they got into it a little bit and then they backed off and that was the end of it. The other element in this is what you said, is where Jeremy Banks was not taking care of stuff off the field, coming late to things, not showing up on time, and other, blowing things off that he needed to go to. Uh, and it was a cumulative effect. And maybe there was this altercation, and that was the thing that broke the camel's back. Or maybe there was no altercation at all, and it was just the off the field stuff. Again, we're piecing it all together. I mean, all of that, even from us and everybody else. Anyone who's talked about it is like, here's what I think happened, and believe what you want to believe there. He got suspended, and believe whether you think it was justified. I mean, I kind of said, I texted Zach, and I'll be honest. This is off the record stuff that I texted Zach, but I'm willing to talk about it here. I mean, I was basically like, that's a gutsy move by Heupel. Banks better have done something serious for you to take out essentially the emotional leader of your defense in the biggest game of your entire career. That's a gutsy move, boy, that he would do something like that, because I think you saw in that defense, he's huge in blitzes. He's a big part of that. He's probably the most aggressive guy that you have out there. Beyond that, he doesn't get the most sacks, but he's the most aggressive. He also is just a absolute leader on your defense and an energy guy, and he brings that heat, and they take him out. I'm confident in saying if he plays in that game, Tennessee probably still loses, but I think South Carolina, you could almost take at least a touchdown off the board. I think the defense that he would make, the difference that he would make, not the defense that he would make, the difference that he would make in that game. Personally, I think he would have made some play that didn't get made. I think he would have had, he maybe would have been on the sideline getting guys by the collar and being like, what the hell are you doing out there? And maybe that's the difference. And so, yeah, I mean, I kind of said, like, it better have been serious, boy. Whatever happened, because for you to have to like make an example of this kid and let him sit out because of whatever might have happened, I'm not wishing that he did something serious, but it better have been really needed, really necessary, because I think it really hurt this defense. Just my personal take on it.
I'm with you. I think they still lose that game even if Jeremy Banks plays, because the scheme, the approach, it was bad. And I've spent a
It
lot of
was
time
terrible.
this year defending Tim Banks because I've understood that he doesn't have as much to work with, but that's when you're playing Alabama. That's when you're playing Georgia. That's when you're playing even Florida to some extent with their talent. LSU, very talented team. You go play South Carolina, a team that, even with the players that Tennessee lost 2 years ago, you've replaced some of that through the portal. You're close to where you need to be scholarship wise. Tennessee's talent is better than South Carolina's, or it's at least equal at worst. So you have the guys that should be able to play with South Carolina. I mean, this is a team that scored 6 points against Florida. You got the guys to play. And Banks never really adjusted. I mean, Tim Banks, he
Never.
never really adjusted. They're playing far off the corners. I mean, one play in particular, it was like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6. Kamal Hadden, who look, I'm not going to badmouth Kamal Hadden, but the way that he played uh, on Saturday night did not match up with the level of trash talk that he had out there on the field, because every time he got beat, every time he made a tackle, even though the play resulted in a first down, he was immediately in the wide receiver's face. And he wasn't rattling them. If anything, they were laughing at him because they were burning him and the rest of the defense all night long. But
It's
there was one
embarrassing.
play on like 3rd and 6 where Kamal Hadden's 4 yards beyond the chains, and the receiver's just sitting there at the marker, makes the catch, easy first down. And that I think that was the drive where if they would have stopped them, maybe they had a chance to come back and take a lead. And it's just calls like that where you have to stop them. You can't play that soft. I mean, you're that scared of getting beat over the top. I mean, you shouldn't be playing in this game if you're that scared, if you don't think your guys can hang with them for a few plays over the top. I mean, he never shied away from that, and it just let them have whatever they wanted underneath all night long. And then they weren't making good tackles, so they're getting yards after the catch. South Carolina tackled so much better. They blocked better on the perimeter. A lot of those plays happened because their wide receivers were out on the perimeter aggressively blocking. And they might have got away with a few holds. I don't know, but they were out there doing all they could to keep, to give their guys some room to make a play, and it worked. So I think the blame for most of this loss has to fall on Tim Banks. It feels pretty obvious, but I don't see anywhere else you go. The offense pretty much did their job. They could have played better. Hendon Hooker could have played better. He could have completed a few more passes. He was not as crisp as he has been. He really hasn't been since that Georgia game. But it really falls on Tim Banks. And I mean, where you go from there in the offseason, if a change is made, I don't know. I mean, that's something we might be talking about here in a couple of weeks.